Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie The Replacements. Enjoy the movie. Jonathan Shell is a war veteran and mercenary. After a botched operation in Cuba, 3 of his partners are killed. U.S. authorities deny involvement and the mercenaries are out of a job. We're moving to Miami. The everyday life of an unusual American school, Mexicans beat up a dark-skinned boy. 2 teachers separated the brawlers and tried to calm the heated crowd. Jane knows that it was Lucas, who pretends not to be involved. He threatens the teacher with violence if she doesn't leave him alone. However, Principal Roll is going to react to it somehow, as there was no direct threat and she doesn't care that Lucas is afraid of the other kids. On the street, Jane's car is surrounded by Latinos, led by Lucas. They make dirty jokes and don't let the woman leave the parking lot in peace. In the parking lot, Jay is not comfortable. She looks around, and when the elevator doors opened, she cried out in surprise, but when she saw her man Sheila, she exhaled in relief. The soldier tells his beloved that he was sent to retirement and he is not satisfied with it at all. From nothing to do, Shiki gives in the card shurikens. In the evening, a battle buddy, Joyce 6, offers him a job. It takes trained guys. Lawyer Wolfson is choosing between 2 companies. One of the mercenaries even brought a videotape of his presentation. Wolfson works for a drug lord and he needs a reliable team to secure the goods and take out anyone who interferes with the business, even if it's the federal services. But Shale isn't an assassin, he's a soldier. He grabs Fart by the throat and he shits his pants. Wolfson's lucky he's a soldier after all. The thing is, the vet's a drug dealer. He'd rather be out of a job. When Jane went for a jog along the waterfront, she was caught by some big Indian and hit in the leg with a stick. He was prevented from striking again by Shale, who was looking for his girl. Despite his training, the veteran couldn't handle the big man and ran away when he heard the police siren. Jane has a broken leg. She is sure that the Indian was sent by Lucas, but asks Shale not to do anything, or he will definitely plant a grenade on him. Jane asked a man to call a teacher to fill in for her at school, but the teacher replied that he was busy. The unemployed soldier then asked his friends to forge his teaching certificate and enter it into the teacher's database. The very next day, he went to school as James Smith. Pulling on his jacket, Sheila looked around to see who he would be dealing with. In the hallway, he met Principal Raleigh, who pretended to be concerned about the health of a battered teacher. The classroom is in complete chaos, with students stealing equipment, dancing, or just sleeping. When Sheila decided to get acquainted with the kids, he was immediately hit by an empty beer can. Students actively sabotaged roll call and made vulgar jokes. It's Lucas' turn. Now Shiloh knows what the juvenile thug who sent his girlfriend to the hospital looks like. No one wants to learn history. Jerome, for example, prefers to read the agent's rap. Shale walks into the teacher's lounge and meets Sherman, and librarian Anna, recognizing Jane's broken leg, concludes that it's best not to mess with the KR. The KKK are the Kings of Destruction, the local school gang. Their leader Lucas had a hand in the teacher's murder. Jane wanted him expelled, but the principal's covering for him for some reason. Roll used to work for the police in the gang unit, and now he's getting involved in politics. Shale walks into the principal's office to see who he's dealing with. The men study each other. Roll noticed the teacher's tattoos and scars, while Shale noticed the principal's expensive watch. In a dangerous place like this school, he might as well have his arm chopped off to take them away. But Roll, on a cricket bat, immediately showed that he's not to be trifled with. Shale came to the firing range and offered his mercenary friends to help him with the school gang, but Cole doesn't like the fact that Shale is doing some bullshit that doesn't bring in the dough. For such rudeness immediately suffered his balls. The rest of our heroes suggested that the rest of the gang should still rub the gang. Most likely they deal with drugs, so they'll have serious money. The next day his men infiltrated the school under the guise of workers. Today Shale is not so kind as on the first day. He started talking about Vietnam. And the Thronkin this time went back into the thrower's face. Tay decided to hit the teacher, but the teacher unexpectedly clobbered the goon and made him lick the floor. Rodriguez at first refused to give up Shiloh, but quickly changed his mind when the teacher bent his fingers. Rodriguez excused himself to the nurse's station, where he immediately complained about the teacher to the principal. Gopnik threatens to drag the administration through the courts. Relay calls a security guard for help, while Sheila talks about how she destroyed the Viet Cong. The students, too, boast scars from bullets and live wounds from street wars. Lucas doesn't like the fact that the teacher managed to rein in the class. Sheila's boys set up video cameras everywhere. The principal came into the classroom and reminded the teacher that corporal punishment was not allowed, and if he didn't apologize to the students, he would be fired. The teacher reminded him that he couldn't be fired without 2 weeks' notice. Relay runs a background check on the unusual teacher, and his phone is already tapped by the mercenaries. Jane managed to get home on crutches. On her desk she found a card that made her very sad. Her student Lisa wished her a speedy recovery. In the schoolyard in the hallway, everyone stares at the dangerous teacher. Lucas is late for class and Shale has him right on the board 100 times. I apologize. Shale tells how in his youth he was also a member of a biker gang, the kind of stories that are not to his liking, but the main thing to remember is that nothing good is going to happen to them there, except for a one-way ticket. He talks about the central prison, which awaits such citizens as soon as they turn 18. Jerome thinks it's better than a lifetime of working for poverty wages. A dozen school children already have children, and for some reason the young people don't want them to join gangs either. So why don't they think about their safety and future? The principal came into the classroom and told Shale that he wanted to talk to him after the meeting. Roll also met with Lucas in the restroom. Shale heard them and prepared himself. Put on a bulletproof vest and loaded a gun and armed themselves and the juvenile delinquents. Lucas wants to cut up the teacher first before shooting him. When Shale sees the car with the bandits, he pretends to be scared and runs back into the building. The principal sent guards to help the thugs. Shale ran into the library and ordered Anna to lie down on the floor. The soldier immediately disarmed the men, the principal taking one of them at gunpoint. The woman was ordered to bring out the weapons cart and call the police in 15 minutes. Shale wanted to play with the attackers and deal with them in hand-to-hand combat. He threw one thug out the window. 2 more guards went flying. The thug picked up Shale's gun and shot him. He pretended to be dead. The next one was supposed to be Anna, but the veteran twisted the gunman and threw him out the window as well. Just like that, Shale has warmed up, and for some reason the principal doesn't want to talk to him anymore. Sherman came to check on Jane, and then he saw a picture of them together with a man pretending to be a teacher. Shale came home with food. Jane asked him where he worked, then called him Mr. Smith and shoved rice in his face. Meanwhile, Joy got on Lucas' tail and the gangsters swapped cars outside the grocery store. Shale tells her sweetheart that the principal is involved with a street gang and also confesses that he has become partial to the students. They listen to him. The mercenaries continue to monitor the gang. They are called Shale here as well. He recognized the Indian who attacked Jane. A boat arrives at the dock. The goods are exchanged for money. Joey will take the boat and Shale will take the Indians. He left a gun on the bandits and ordered them to lie down on the ground. Joey, the other couple, just shot them. Suddenly, Holland ran up, took the gun away from Shale, and let the big man punch the veteran in the face. But he was in better shape today, and he kicked the Indian's ass, which was Holland's idea of fun. He finally shot the Indian and gave Shale the gun. He took the bag of drugs and threw it in the sea. He only let his friends take the money. Raleigh found out about the deal going south on the news. His supplier Johnny Clates called him and threatened that if he didn't get the money or the goods back, he would do to him what he had done to his man. And the poor guy was shredded against the propeller of a catamaran. When he got to work, Raleigh went after Lucas, suspecting he'd set him up. Then Shale announced that some philanthropist had given the school a gift of sports equipment. Computers, books, musical instruments, and even free pizza, so Shale found a way to invest the principal's money. Sherman likes what's going on and offers to help Shale fight the school gang. The mercenary tells the teacher about the principal's connection to organized crime, but Sherman refuses to believe that a black brother can do such a thing. It's all gangsters. The whites are sticking it to the blacks again. Raleigh also realizes what his money has been spent on. After school, Blaze's men get on Sheila's tail. They shoot the mercenary's car, practically at point-blank range, and it speeds into the trailer. Sherman stayed late at school checking students' work. Lisa asked him to walk her home, but they couldn't go out the front door, so they witnessed a large shipment of goods being unloaded into the school basement. They were spotted. Sherman hid the girl and asked to tell everything to Teacher Smith, and himself distracted the bandits on himself. Desperate, Sherman climbed up the rope and was thrown down. The poor guy tried to crawl away, but he was finished off by the principal himself. The principal prematurely announced Shell's death, but Sherman was indeed found dead. On the school grounds, Shell found out that attorney Wolfson wanted to hire him to work specifically with Glacé, the principal's supplier. Cornered, the mercenary had him interrogated and had to tell him everything he knew about Rolla and the supply to the various schools. Jerome and Lissa arrived at Jane's house to tell her what was going on at the school, but the woman had already been taken hostage by Lucas and his men. The teacher had to lure Shell here as well. Realizing that the matter was not clean, he took shurikens and throwing knives with him. After ringing the doorbell, Shell introduced himself as a different man and covered his face with a box. He shot one of the thugs, but he was tasered and disarmed. Lucas called Glites and the latter ordered him to finish off the mercenary, but there was a knock on the door from the homeowner. Shell took advantage of the hitch and took out 3 of Lucas' aides. The schoolboy took Jane hostage and was about to kill the teacher, but he was shot by Jerome, who had time to pick up a gun. Fox said that the criminals stacked the goods in the boiler room and killed the teacher Sherman. Shell decided to deal with all the bandits at once. He threw the corpses in the car and left it near the base of Glites. The chief was told that they saw Shell at the school, and he and his friends had already ambushed the building. A group of mercenaries arrived at the school with Glacé. Velman was almost shot by a sniper. Another group of mercenaries arrived and a firefight broke out. Joy ambushed the teacher's lounge while Shell and Velman shot back in the hallways. Soon a grenade launcher started firing in the schoolyard. Cole placed explosives under the bags of goods and finished off the stunned mercenaries. At the same time, their leader slew Wellman, but he himself fell into Shell's trap and was shot at the school board. Ram, who was covering his friends from the roof, was soon mortally wounded. Breaking the check off a grenade, he took the enemy gunner with him as well. Holland had Glites in his sights, but approaching from behind he was shot by the director. As he was dying, he told Shell that they were waiting for him. He outsmarted the bandits, but a fight broke out between him and the director. Shell was wounded by Glites, and he was shot by Holland. Rawl escaped, but only to attack the veteran. He even managed to grab a gun from around the corner, but Shell finished him off with his signature punch. After the massacre, only Joey and the substitute teachers survived. The mercenaries decided that it was time to change their jobs.